Good morning or good afternoon, should I say, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday, the 20th of June, 2022. I hope you're all healthy. I hope you had a good weekend. And those of you fathers out there, again, happy Father's Day. I hope you enjoyed your Father's Day with your family this past weekend. Blessings also upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders trying every day, every weekend, every Monday to save lives. And those that pick up garbage to keep streets and sidewalks clean, and those that are out here making deliveries for our convenience every day. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue and deliver children who are victims of child molestation, and those that are trying to deliver the victims of pornography and child pornography. Those that are trying to deliver the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, human trafficking and sex slavery. In Polk County, Florida, just 48 hours ago or over the weekend, they busted about 20 men that were involved in a ring trying to lure children into sex slavery. Thank the good Most High for those policemen, those law enforcement officers that caught those perverts and child molesters and perverts, child molesters and perpetrators. Anyway, double curses on them. Finally, blessings on the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children on the streets of the United States, and millions more around the world. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Something significant was reported today. Now, Stephen Bondi, New York Daily News, long time Nick hater. Long time. But this has some semblance of legitimacy to it. And I'll tell you why. Let's go back for a second. Okay. We talked a few weeks ago, at least several videos ago, about the leverage that certain players in the draft can use. Okay. And so when a player knows that they say a top 5 selection, and they know that they are, they can sometimes dictate where they go in the draft. And so that they can use that leverage by, number one, refusing to give information to certain teams, or only agreeing to work out for certain teams. So, for example, Jaden Ivey, as it was reported, only has worked out for the Orlando Magic, who have the number 1 overall pick, and they're not picking him. They're going to be picking Jabari Smith Jr. or Detroit. Those are the only 2 places he's worked out for. But today, according to Bondi, the quote was, I'm paraphrasing. There are possibilities where he can go to New York. Now, when a player names a city specifically, that player just told you where he wants to go. Okay, it just told you where he wants to go. Why would he say, of all the teams between 4 and 10, he talks about the team with the 11th pick and says, there are situations where I can go there. Why would he say that? Now, number one, we have to understand, as a top 4 projected pick, Jaden Ivey has serious representation. CAA is his agent. CAA, as we know, has a very close relationship with the New York Knicks. And there are players on the Knicks that are represented and coaches by CAA. CAA used to employ Leon Rose. Is this all coincidence? No, it's not, because he mentioned New York by name. Now, the question is now, New York Knicks Nation, is he using New York as leverage? You know, some players, for example, Kyrie Irving, talks about the Lakers and the Knicks as possible destinations from Brooklyn. He is not coming to the Knicks. He costs too much. The Knicks are not in a position to draw a guy like him and make use of his talents. The Lakers, on the other hand, with Anthony Davis, LeBron James, are. Okay? So he's using the Knicks as leverage to go to LA. Play with LeBron. Okay? But that is how players use the Knicks, the big market that's the Knicks, and the big media circus that's the Knicks, as leverage to get what they want. Happened a lot over the years, especially in contract negotiations. So, this situation could be that, where Jaden Ivey's representation is using the Knicks as leverage, but I doubt it. The reason I doubt that is because, as I mentioned with Kyrie Irving, or other players, generally the Knicks are used as leverage in contract negotiations to get more money. Right? So the threat is, I'll go to New York, or you can pay me. That's the general song and theme that's been used for New York for more than 20 years. I go to New York, you can pay, or you can pay me. And they use that. And then, of course, the media in New York blows that up. This player X is thinking about the Knicks, and everybody goes crazy. And then the real team that he wanted to go to, where he just wanted more money, pays up. But this is not that situation. This is a draft situation. And when a player says, I can go to New York, he's expressing interest in going to New York. His agents, his reps are telling him, you could go to New York. What that says to the Kings is, you could draft me, or you could trade me to any team you want, but I still want to be in New York. Why would a team want to take a chance on drafting a player that won't be interested in signing an extension with them, that is not interested in playing for them? He has already now opened a Pandora's box by mentioning New York. And let me tell you something. Because he's being repped by CAA, that was not accidental. This changes everything. Because now, basically, by mentioning a specific team that he can go to, he's saying, this is the team I want to play for. And now the Kings, though they rightfully have the right to trade that pick to whoever they want to, all the other teams understand he wants this team. KP did the same thing when he was coming to the Knicks. It was the Lakers or the Knicks. That's what he had. It was the Lakers or the Knicks. And the Lakers decided that he was too frail, and they went with D'Lo. They went with D'Angelo Russell at number 2 that year. Whereas the Knicks and the Philly didn't pick KP. He didn't work out for them. He wasn't interested in them. He made it known it was LA or the Knicks. Well, now Jaden Ivey's making it known that it's Orlando, Detroit, or the Knicks. He's making that known. Okay? And so his reps it's obvious to me, his reps are trying to angle him toward New York. They're trying to funnel him to New York. And they're trying to let other teams know he's not interested in you. He don't want to go to Indiana. He don't want to go to the Kings. He don't want to go to San Antonio. He's not interested in Washington. He's interested in Orlando at number 1, Detroit, or the Knicks. Now, some of y'all will say, well, he could go to Orlando. They could trade down, or what they would do is trade down with the Kings. They could easily do that. The Orlando Magic can say, okay, listen, y'all, we'll pick Jabari Smith over number 1, and we'll trade with you for Jaden Ivey. That's an easy deal. That's an easy deal. They have to clear some space on their team because they got a boatload of guards, but that could happen. Okay. So this is going to be really interesting. We got 72 hours to see, but to me, and I didn't wake up this morning thinking this. I woke up this morning thinking that it's unlikely the Knicks will make this deal. Also, I hate to say it, but if you the Kings, who do you want on the Knicks? You want young players, man. We're going to give them a veteran. Either it's going to be Randall, and I understand they're not a great fit with Sabonis, but I'm just saying in general, we're going to give them some veterans. This could be Randall, Burks, Fournier, some combination, or D-Rose. It's some combination of veterans. And we're going to take back probably, a contract, Barnes. That's the most likely candidate, or Rashad Holmes, who's a 5. But you can expect some young players to go, unfortunately. And I don't even want to name them because I don't want to see any of our young guys go. But if it's heated up like this is no accident. This news was leaked to discourage other teams from going after Jaden Ivey. And nobody wants to go after a player that may not want to play for you. Okay. They're doing it subtly, but they're doing it, to me, that subtle is loud. I wouldn't be surprised if this deal got done this week. I also wouldn't be surprised if we lost some young players this week. To me, I'm going to tell you who's off the table. Deuce is not going to be traded. And I'm going to tell you why. He's a guard. They got Davion Mitchell and Fox, and Deuce was a 2nd round pick. He didn't play a lot last year. Deuce probably is safe because of that. But Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, I don't know. They're getting a guard. Okay. And in spite of all of the media hype about him being a point guard, Jaden Ivey is not a point guard, but he's a guard. He can play the 2 or the 1. In certain situations. To me, IQ and Grimes are your 2 likely candidates. Now, for those of you that are really on the Cam Reddish bandwagon and you really want to see Cam get a shot this year, this really gives him a shot. Because if, say, you trade Grimes and you get Ivey, right? Cam now plays the 3 and RJ starts at the 2. Ivey won't start, but he's going to be in the rotation. But you're going to have RJ starting at the 2 and you're going to have Cam starting at the 3 in that scenario. Because I'm telling you, they're going to trade Fournier. You're going to trade Fournier. See? So, or you have Fournier coming off the bench. But to me, this gives Cam, if he's healthy, a perfect opportunity to prove, that he's worthy at starting. He's not a kid anymore. This is his 4th season. And so, if he comes and works his tail off for Tibbs, he can, a trade for Ivey that includes a Grimes could open the door for a Cam Reddish. Really could. Again, he's got to stay healthy though. And he hasn't been able to do that in 3 seasons so far. But if he can, man, that kid's talent, so you would really have a dynamic situation with a Jaden Ivey, a Cam Reddish, and you're starting RJ Barrett at the 2, Bully Ball at the 2. And you could also bring Ivey in at the point in that scenario because all 3 of them can handle the rock. Man, this is going to be interesting. I've just now, because of this news, I'm raising the possibility to at least 60% that the Knicks can get Ivey this week. I would have put it at 40 before. The more likely scenario to trade down rather than get Ivey. But with this news now on a Monday and the draft is Thursday night, this is heating up. And that New York news is going to get louder in the next 24, 36 hours. It's going to get louder. So stay tuned, y'all. Buckle your seatbelts because it's about to get hectic. Please have a good Monday. Be safe out there. Shalom.